That is James. That is DPG. RMFC Neo Tokyo. And gentlemen, this week the U.S. men's national team played 2 games. One went well and one did not. They won 2-0 against Panama and lost 2-0 against Mexico.
Well, everybody, first off, kick that like button. But let's start with the good. The good was Panama. 2-0. Came in there, and it was exciting. At the very first match of Pochettino, we get to see what he's deploying. We get to see his picks. And we saw, did we see an identity, or are we seeing identity forming? Is it more like a clump of a meatball, or is this a full plate of spaghetti that we saw?
It's still forming. I like what I saw. I felt that they were more organized. It wasn't more. I mean, I think what I saw a lot less was like the panicky passing, like just pass it anywhere. The team felt, look more relaxed, which is always good. More confident, which is always even, it's even better. But I just want to add, the Mexico game, we did not have a full squad. We actually lost a handful of players.
We'll get to those excuses.
Okay, I'm just
later.
Let's start with the good here. Yeah.
I think to stick with James's analogy, not only is it not prepared, that it may not be butchered yet. If it is, it's in the freezer still. This is so not ready. This dude had 3 hours to talk to these kids.
It's still grazing on the farm.
Go play soccer.
Yeah.
So it was. I mean, I gotta.
Well,
be honest,
you got to compare this to Jesse Marsh, and how much time did he have with Canada to throw them into a tournament at the last?
He had a month run up, right?
That sounds.
I want to say this. So I want to say
more
this.
Time, isn't it?
I don't know if you guys noticed this, but Pochettino looked very confident on the bench. This man was shaking hands, all smiles. Great. I'm just hoping that it's when it comes to work, I'm sure he's hustling these guys, but he didn't look one bit. Obviously, he's first day on the job. He didn't look one bit worried or anything like that. He wasn't scratching his chin.
Well, they were winning.
Yeah.
Well, so, I mean, they were winning, but they weren't winning the whole time, man. It was kind of ugly, dude. I felt that game was so boring. I was bored. I was totally bored. But I mean, to your point about Poch, I'm gonna say this, man. I feel like he didn't do a ton of coaching this window.
No.
And I think even just his choices of who stayed in camp and who didn't, for him, this was just let me assess where we are. I don't care about the opponent. I don't care about what happens. I don't care about the outcomes. I don't care. Let's just see what's up. Get a baseline of knowledge to go from after that. And that, I mean, honestly, and I just think our talent took over Panama.
One thing I did see, and I always give this guy crap all the time, is Anthony Robinson. First of all, I just want to say this. I'm still not confident of our back line. I think
center back is worse than I thought it was.
So here's the thing, though. Anthony Robinson, I like him. I'm kind of getting on that train with you, Toke. The one thing I did see that I had a feeling that was going to bite us back in the ass. I didn't like how far up ahead was Anthony Robinson was getting. He was going very deep in the attack, and I get it. That's a specialty on
that's his thing, right? But
the problem is if that team hits the counter, now you got Anthony Robinson trying to track back.
Well, I mean, he is one of the fastest players in the Premiership.
That's
that,
true,
right?
but
he is a very quick individual.
But and again, that will lead on to the next game. That's what I'm trying to say.
So I guess more positives. I like James's attitude this week. Let's keep it positive. So the first goal, Yunus Musa, not a super Yunus Musa. I mean, he doesn't score a lot of goals, but I mean,
a question mark coming in. I mean, admittedly, when he's not getting a lot of time with AC Milan, who he's playing with Christian Pulisic, who assisted the goal to him. But yet Christian Pulisic is the star of AC Milan, and Musa is struggling for playing time. So it had me wondering, I'm like, maybe instead of Chicago Fire going to target McKennie, maybe they target Musa.
He's too young. He has too much.
I'd rather keep Musa in Europe.
Well, I mean, obviously for the U.S., right? They both need to stay there. But
obviously, yes.
I think the thing about Musa, he's calm on the ball, which I really like, and he's tenacious. But no one really knows what to do with this kid, man. Like he's back to Valencia days of getting pushed out to the wing because he was playing out wide for the most part. That's where he came from to get the goal, right? He came in on that tap.
The other thing is
that was class.
They were doing things. They were creating a ton on offense. It was 11 shots, 4 on target. So that's pretty.
Well, Panama ended up with more.
Yeah, that's the thing. But still, there was quality to the attack. There was ideas. There was ideas being laid down. They're not being cemented quite yet. They're just in the process of laying down that, and it's still very, very wet cement in the mold.
I want to add this. I'm not sold on the attack.
No striker scored, right? So it was.
Yeah, none of the strikers scored, but
Pepe,
I don't think
Pepe was a penalty, or what was that?
I don't get the hype with Sargent.
No, I'm sorry, striker did score. It was Pepe. Okay.
Yeah, you're right.
So,
yes.
I don't get the hype with Sargent.
Nor do I, bro. We are on the same page.
I'm like, he was
Poch
honestly
saw something and to
I don't
give
know.
him the first go.
I think we're still looking for a striker.
Well, Flo
we need a guy that
wasn't there, right? So
yeah, that's the one guy.
Flo's been struggling, man.
That's the thing about Flo. Flo is certainly no Jonathan David.
Oh God.
Oh, geez. But what I'm saying is this: like, we need a striker that can score. I don't think it's Josh Sargent is the guy. I don't get the hype behind him.
He's talented. Don't get
talented,
it twisted.
But the Panama game, he seemed very indecisive.
It's the first game. It was the first 45 minutes
I get it. I get it, but I don't get the vibe from Sargent that he's going to be the guy that's going to, score 2 goals.
I did find it odd he started both games, but I will say this, right? He started the Mexico game, right?
He started the Mexico game. Yeah.
I thought I was an insane person for a second. So, but I'm not worried about Pochettino's selection that much. I'm not. It is curious. It's curious that he picked Matt Turner too, which he came up with was the double save in this game or was it the Mexico game? See, these things are blending together in my brain.
I think it was this Panama game.
Yes, he had that double save, which that was good.
He blocked once and he blocked. Yeah.
I was pretty bored, and I don't have the streaming service. This TV deal is the worst for me. I have to watch everything on the Spanish language channels.
But hold on. But you know what? We actually talked about this during the week, and I think you guys made a good point where when we saw this election, and I think after the Mexico game, we brought this back up again. We mentioned that half this roster, the current selection right now, in about a year and a half from now, probably is going to be half of the roster is going to be a bunch of new guys that are. I don't know about
half, but yeah, you got to think about it. I said it in the chat. I said a year from now there will be 2 guys that we are like, oh,
there might be more
starters, and we've never heard of them today.
I'll get into that. I got more about what you guys are talking about, but I think we've almost exhausted the good of this. We saw good ideas. We saw some flashes of players. We didn't see the stars be stars. I don't know if we saw that so much. Pulisic did get the assist, but it wasn't.
He works hard no matter what. Sometimes he shines, sometimes he doesn't.
That was the thing. It was a quiet game for Pulisic.
He needs backup. He needs like a partner.
And now,
the thing is, he's killing it. AC Milan on the right. We should put him on the right because I think him and Anthony Robinson don't jive as well as we want them to.
Oh, dude, if they jive on the wings, oh my God.
It might be better to divide your power and let Anthony.
I think so.
Too. So
I think you need one more piece in that trio right there. You add one more piece that can match their level or better.
Well, is that Tim Weah when healthy? Is that
if he can take the next step?
It's hard to tell, man. It might not even be any of those guys. It might be some random, U19 player playing in, Europe.
Tim Weah plays like Ronaldo when he puts on the U.S. shirt.
Maybe that's a spot for Brendan Aronson.
Yeah.
Oh no! What did you think of Brendan Aronson? I guess you're talking like we're gonna. Okay, let's just say this: they lost 2-0 to Mexico.
Yeah.
That sucks. So now we're kind of talking about the bad.
So I gotta
How
look
did
at the
you-
lineup.
How did you guys feel about Brendan Aronson? Like not even stats, just vibes. How did it
I
feel?
think he was a little indecisive when I saw him play against Panama, the first half, I guess it was like he was a little bit like out of sorts. Like he was missing passes. He was giving away passes.
Yeah,
He
he wasn't
settled.
comfortable in it yet.
Yeah, he settled in though. And against Mexico, I think everything just went out the window. Like, at that point, we realized we need a better goalkeeper. That Mexico game showed us that we really need a better goalkeeper.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I would agree.
Yeah.
James.
Yeah.
James,
Go ahead.
what did you think of Matt Turner? Because I think me and DPG are both down on him. See, as a whole, the program, I'm not down, but as far as players, I'm down.
I don't see why there's any reason to not start looking elsewhere.
Well, who else was on the roster?
Doesn't matter. You look elsewhere. Start the process. Sorry, Matt. It's not his. It's not his anymore.
No.
Start.
No.
Start.
And I think
the process of moving on there.
I think the one position
it's going to be a process. Usually, it's
it's a process. But I think the one position that the USMNT has a lot of depth is goalkeeping.
It's got to be one of these young guns who's got to really step up and assert themselves.
That's what it is.
And step up and dominate. We need Gaga to start dominating competition that's better. We need these guys who are out there to start dominating international competition and looking the part for when they go against international competition.
Well, I'm kind of shocked he started him and played him both games. He didn't give anybody else a sniff, which I did not like personally. Yeah. I was not a fan, I will admit. And I guess now's the time. Well, I was going to say now's the time to mention a bunch of dudes went home.
You could have put Schulte in. You could have put Horvath in.
But you know what?
Do you need to see what do you need to see from Horvath that you haven't already seen?
No, but you know the first goal. Like I think a more. I don't even want to say more veteran because Matt Turner's like in his 30s already, but a more prepared goalkeeper would have seen that shot coming from like a mile away. I mean, the fact that
he did get a paw,
he get a touch, but most,
I mean, you might as well put Tim Howard back in there. Just unretire Tim.
I think if you put Tim Howard, he might tip it out. He might tip it out over the bar.
I mean, well, Tim Howard was so disrespected in his day. He was literally top 5 keeper.
Just say Casey Keller too while you're at it. Stop the comment.
Keller was never as good as Howard or Friedel. And Friedel's like time of being good was like this. Howard
Friedel was good. Friedel was good for like one World Cup cycle, and that's it.
But so we again, Christian Pulisic went home, Jedi went home. Couple cats went home. So
Anthony Robinson stuck around.
Anthony Robinson started.
I'll say the lineup.
Okay.
So Matt Turner started in goalkeeping. So we had Anthony Robinson, Tim Ream, Miles Robinson, surprisingly, Joe Scally, or Scaly, whatever you guys call him. And then in the midfield, it was Aiden Morris, Gianluca Busio, Jonas Musa. In front of them was Brendan Aronson, Malik Tillman, and Josh Sargent.
Can I say one thing you just reminded me of?
Miles
Robinson had a bad game and was almost at fault oh my God, I'm going to sneeze. Okay. Miles Robinson was at fault for that goal, right? That first goal.
Yeah.
And it's like, as soon as that happened, like after the game, I proceeded to edit a video where we were all dreaming of Miles Robinson being on the fire.
No,
I just was like, oh man,
I think
like milk.
I don't think Miles Robinson is going to be the guy. I know a lot. Before he got hurt,
he's be great player for Chicago Fire. But
before he got hurt though.
Yeah, before that injury, he was.
People were hyping him up. He was playing for Atlanta. People were saying he's going to go to Europe. After he got hurt, it just kind of went downhill. Like, not only in soccer terms, but more or less like in his personal life. Like he got arrested for like I guess he didn't pay his.
I forgot about that.
Bar, yeah. So he didn't pay the $5 for his bar tab.
Yes.
So, and I mean, how is he doing now though? Like in MLS, like is it?
I think it's mixed. I think he's having a solid season, but not like. I mean, I guess we all cringe at it, but apparently Aaron Long is having the season of his career right now in LA.
Oh,
So,
I mean,
but
I kind of
so
want to
what
think
else
that these
about this
guys.
lineup, James? Did anything about the Mexico game excite you? I mean, there was the fight.
Things got heated, but it was just really disappointing, and it's just like Tim Ream did not do well. Joe Scally,
No.
He's gonna be one of the guys that's gonna be out of here by next year, though. I think he's.
Joe
I think he was
Scally
needed for like his leadership.
Here's the problem: there were so many guys there who, frankly, I think they proved themselves not good enough to be starters. Maybe there's some role players in there, but
granted, Mexico was playing with a full squad.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, how many times did they claim they had a B or C squad, and we were like, "Oh, shut up and take your L."
Let's be honest here.
I mean?
Let's be honest here. Mexico has been going with a full squad for the past 5 years, and they've gotten their asses handed to them by USMNT. Mm-hmm. This was the only exception. This game was like the first time that the USMNT actually played with a depleted B squad, and Mexico went full gear on their squad. So.
It's true.
Yeah. So,
which reminds me, a tip of the cap to the enemy, Andres. Oh my God, why am I blanking on his name?
Guardado.
He retired from international football after 17,000 games with
he
the Mexican national team.
Congrats to him.
Oh man, it was an ugly game. That was also a boring game. I also didn't think Mexico Mexico did not whoop up on us. No. They just were the better team of a boring game.
Matt Turner, not good enough, right?
Agreed. Not good enough for Matt Turner. Not good enough for Miles Robinson.
Miles Robinson still flashed, at least, still showed some things to the point where he was the best of the bad bunch, and clearly still a step above, but nobody else was to his level, and that it's surprising to see that from Tim Ream when he's been such a great partner for him historically.
I mean, I'm not. Are you worried personally? Are you worried about this team? Or are you worried about Pochettino?
No.
Exactly.
We'll get more into that. Aiden Morris did not look like he belonged. He was all out of sorts,
which is troubling for the Aiden Morris fans out there.
He started.
Yeah, and I forgot he even played. That's part of the problem.
Wow. Buzio did not impress,
which hurts my heart. I'm a Gianluca fan, and I would like for that to go better.
And you really would have thought that Musa would have done a little bit more with what he had. I mean, like, Musa also really disappointed. Like, he was not holding down that midfield and by no means imposing his will.
What I really think is we're reading a lot into it. I almost feel like Pochettino is like, do X and Y. I don't give a shit what the score is. I don't care what happens. Do X and Y. I don't care if it's not working.
Let's work upon this. We're working on this right now tonight.
Do what I want you to do. I don't think he game planned to win the game. I think that was the biggest.
That's an interesting point. He didn't game plan to win the game. He game planned to work on
practice. He game planned to practice his game plan. He didn't game plan for the team he was playing.
Interesting.
And which is the biggest flex on the planet that US was like, no, we're just going to send all our guys home. We don't care about this game. We're working on us. We're doing
Poch is like, you're sending my couple of my best players? Oh, okay. All right, I'll make it work.
I mean, look at what he did. He sent the players who were hot home. He sent guys who, yeah, true. But I'm saying that he sent guys home
not Turner.
They're not hot. They weren't doing well. I'm saying he sent the guys like Pulisic who need to make sure that they're not gone one extra day on an international break and then don't get chosen for a month and a half.
Not Sargent, who also struggled in this game.
So I'm a Haji Wright truther. I think Haji Wright is the one who should get the striker position, get the rose.
Weren't you also a Malik Tillman truther?
We're not going to speak about the past.
and we were talking about Brendan Erickson. I mean, like, against Panama, I thought he was doing all right, but against Mexico, he did squadoosh.
Well, I mean, a high motor guy like that can end up doing he could end up doing a lot, or he could end up doing a lot without doing anything. And we kind of got the latter.
Christopher Lund.
Who? Right? You know what I mean?
He came in and he was slashing. He was doing stuff, I thought. Zendaja.
We need Serginho Dest.
Alejandro Zendejas.
I mean, God, he got clowned. I saw a tweet. Somebody was like, how are they going to let Mexico do that to the only guy who was playing with passion?
He was apparently one of the best players for America that night.
He had the most oomph to him. He was the only one that looked like he realized it was a rivalry.
Brandon Vasquez made an appearance.
God, I didn't even remember that. Actually, I think
he did okay. He did okay, but they didn't do much, even with him on there. And Haji Wright did come out there, also kind of not much, but did all right. Same with Tanner Tessman. The tale is they did a lot. The substitutes did a lot better than the starters,
which I don't hate. It just, again, it was a huge. It turned out to be a huge flex.
But by then it was too little, too late. Yeah.
I mean, think about any other coach who has taken this job, even Jurgen Klinsmann, because the microscope was on him. If he took the job and had to play Mexico right away, he would have had to say how big of a deal it was. He would have had to try really hard to win the game. He would have really cared. Anybody would have really cared about it. Like, look at Casey Keller. We brought him up earlier. He is losing his fucking mind because we didn't care that we didn't want to beat Mexico so badly. Pochettino really just, I think, showed up and said, whatever, man, we're going to do us.
You don't think he got out-coached by the Mexican manager?
I don't. I don't think he was coaching.
Javier Aguirre. I
think this is more or less
put out, I think, a great game plan. You missed
Javier
this.
Aguirre.
You missed this, though. But Toke's argument was that Pochettino was not treating this like a regular game. He was treating it like a practice of sorts. Things to practice his philosophy, practice his ideas.
So I think Pochettino was just kind of using this as a measuring stick, see where everybody's at. At the same time, he probably took the opportunity to see where we need other players to step up. Like we're all in agreement that Tim Ream might not be here next year. If he is,
and I wouldn't say that's his fault.
No, it's just father. You can't beat father time,
right? You know? It's like when you see an old person at a job and you're just like, but you have a bunch of money in the bank, right? Yeah. Retire, go home. Like,
I have a question though, boys. Does the national team have anybody like Raul Jimenez?
I mean, these guys are so young. Balogun could still be that guy. I mean, Josh Sargent could still end up that guy. Haji Wright could end up that guy. It's just they're not there yet.
I think in terms of like player to player, we also have to take into consideration that the USMNT roster is probably a lot deeper in terms of having players in Europe than Mexico's is. Like, as crazy as it sounds, probably in the first time in a generation where we get to see that. Because I think it's weird how things have kind of shaped up in the CONCACAF where the USMNT, a lot of their players are playing in Europe. Now Mexico, like roughly half their players are in Europe. And then the rest are just Liga MX, you know. So,
I have a question about Liga MX real quick, and I don't want to get too sidetracked.
Yeah.
This is my ignorant question. Again, I have to watch every U.S. game because for whatever reason on the Spanish language channel. So they had an ad for their Liga MX package and who's like the games coming up that weekend.
Yeah.
The stadiums look half empty in the background of every clip. And it's like, is it struggling or is it just some idiot intern made like the worst commercial ever?
Probably a combination of both. When I say combination of both, and this is something I kind of known about for a few months is, Liga MX, they got rid of relegation. Like they said,
oh yeah,
our second division teams cannot financially support themselves to compete in a first division setting, meaning they don't have adequate stadiums, adequate, forms, I guess, transportation or
They weren't
paying their
getting
players.
paid. Yeah.
So they kind of went, and it's weird because they kind of went to the MLS route where they just cut off second division, and they have this weird setup where it's cut off for a couple of years. It's not like a permanent thing as of yet, but
As
I
of
guess
yet, yep.
yeah, as of yet, because I think every league in the world wants to be like MLS now. But like, so what they're doing is whoever finishes last has to pay like a sum amount, like I don't know, I think it's 7 or 9 million,
Oh.
and they use that money. So hold on. So they use that money kind of as a way of saying we're saving this money. So when we do kick
Oh, they're
back
gonna
up,
set up their parachute payments.
so when we do kick back up
Okay.
relegation, there's money in the bank to support these struggling second division teams that might come from like a 5K or 10K stadium and be able to compete with the big boys.
Well,
So that
thank
was
you.
a
I had no idea actually.
I heard about that. I'm like, wait, so how is this not like some form of corruption? Like, there's gonna be a
Oh,
lot
it
more
will
hands.
be. Oh, it will be. Don't worry.
Yeah.
God, do you guys remember the days of Jack Warner?
Oh my God, Mister, we're gonna get Trinidad and Tobago to a World Cup, and then I'm gonna sell the World Cup tickets to. Yeah. Oh man.
Oh man. Anyway, so I don't know. Have we beaten a dead horse? How James? You're okay. I asked you how you feel.
Well, now
how do you feel?
all right, now we'll get into the overarching. It's overarching. I feel okay still going forward. This is the first flash in the pan, and I know we're not going to beat everybody under the moon, but what I want to see here in the next few months is something that is working. Something that is getting wins against Mexico. Something that is putting to bed the ones that should easily be put to bed and asserting their dominance. And then when it comes to playing a team like Brazil, to playing a team like Argentina, able to compete. Hang in there like the old USA teams of old, who used to be able to compete just on pure athleticism and grit sometimes.
The grit and the power of friendship. They were able
and the
to
power
beat
of
teams.
friendship.
So
Go ahead.
I mean,
How do you feel,
I-
DPG? How do you feel?
So I think it's this is Pochettino's second game. I think where we're at now to where we will be in about 2 years or so, it's gonna be completely different. We might have guys that might step up and kind of take over some of the roles that we're currently right now we feel that's lacking. There might be someone that might take over for Tim Ream's role right now. There might be someone that might, you might find people that will plug in those holes in the back line. You might even find people.
Fingers crossed that, I don't know if he didn't rate CCV or not, but fingers crossed, man. That Mark McKenzie continues to develop, or you know what I mean. All sorts of things. Anyway, I'm sorry.
No, but I mean, even by the way, I did like Mark McKenzie. How he played good. I like that.
I've been a big fan of that kid, even when he gave up that goal in the first 30 seconds of that Nations League final. He came back and continued to have a good game. He didn't, it didn't turn into an absolute disaster.
Yeah. So
how do you guys feel about Christian Pulisic being pulled by Milan back to Italy and basically having to miss this game?
I love it.
I think it was a smart move.
Yeah, nothing matters for us until literally the first game of the World Cup. We crashed out of Copa America, so nothing matters. So honestly, Christian Pulisic being the big dick in town in AC Milan is way more important than playing Mexico in a friendly.
Well,
and the thing too, another thing too is this game was going to be physical. Like if you would have had the full squad there, Pulisic, I don't know who else left, McKenna. It was gonna be physical. You don't want those guys to go back to AC Milan banged up or go back to their respective clubs injured.
Yeah, you don't want to interrupt this campaign that they're having.
No,
Robinson, they risked him.
You got to keep somebody, man, and that's the thing is he might not play for Fulham again that many more times because there is word that Manchester United is hot on the tail. Liverpool again is back in the conversation.
Some up higher clubs. Interesting.
Oh my God. Yeah. He is the highest rated left back in the English Premier League this season.
Wow. That's interesting. Well,
but I'm going to say this. I will say this. Aren't you afraid that Manchester United might ruin him, though?
You know, he's one of those guys that even if he did have a down year in Man U or like it was just a toxic environment, he'd be that one that they could like bounce back and sell quickly to another team, and then he'd just be right back on track. You know what I mean? He wouldn't turn into like a Martial where he would just sit there for year after year after year.
Back to the there were apparently a lot of fans frustrated though with Pulisic leaving and McKennie leaving and all these guys. So they were letting their frustrations know to the point where Tim Howard had to step forward and say that fans have every right to be frustrated with Christian Pulisic leaving the national team ahead of the Mexico match to manage his workload and rejoin with AC Milan. Pulisic is our biggest player, our best player, and this was no normal U.S. men's national team camp. It marked the start of Pochettino's reign and the countdown to the 2026 World Cup. No one can question his commitment to the U.S. men's national team, and no one can deny that he needs to look after his body. But even if he's not playing, he should still be there to create the culture and set an example. I've been a senior player and a big personality in that locker room before. I've demanded a lot of people, and what have I found? The moments to show your gravitas, tend to come off of the pitch. There were times when I was injured or on the bench. I had 100 odd caps by then, but I would still carry the water. I'd pick up the kits off the locker room floor while players were making their second or third appearances were in the shower. They were the small gestures that carried an important message. When we're in deep, I'm demanding something of you. It's nothing I would not do myself.
Well,
that's what makes a good leader, and that's why you build trust with culture. And culture, not by leaving camp, but by supporting the team with words and actions. But at some point, Pochettino, Pulisic, and the U.S. Federation have to flex their muscles and tell Milan, this is how it's going to go down. We need Christian to play or just be around.
So hold on.
From Tim Howard.
I get where Tim Howard's coming from. You know, again, locker room leader. Here's the thing, though. That's a little short-sighted. Let's say, theoretically speaking, Pulisic would have played last night. Let's say McKinney would have played last night. What's not to say that? What if they, because things got heated between Mexico and the USMNT players. What's not to say that one of them wouldn't injured Pulisic, and then all of a sudden we don't have him for the league or red card. We don't have him for the Nations League. We still have a tournament to win. Keep in mind, there's games in November. USA is playing Jamaica.
That's when I'll care. Like, dude, it's a friendly against Mexico. I know we used to have to care, but it's.
If you want,
it's two teams licking their wounds. Mexico's just bad, and we have a new coach. So let us just Pochettino knows Christian Pulisic is his best player.
Yeah.
Pochettino knows exactly who Pulisic is because even if he hasn't coached him, which I don't even know if he has or hasn't, he's got tape on him because he's played him. You know what I mean? He knows Christian Pulisic. He needs to learn nothing. So there is no reason. If Milan wants him, let him have him because then you flex your muscle when you really need it. You know what I mean? I don't know.
So here's another thing too, though, is if it's all about retribution, if they're, if Tim Howard's upset that, Pulisic didn't stick around for the Mexico game, if all these fans are pissed off because Pulisic left, if they want their retribution, they can have it in the Nations League final when chances are we're probably going to face Mexico
I think
again.
we play them in the semi-final.
Or in the semis, and that's going to be a much more meaningful game than this friendly. If you want payback, if you really want to make it, because trust me, people will remember the USMNT getting rid of Mexico in the semifinals than they are of
this friendly.
Mexico beating US in a friendly.
In a friendly.
And which one? One of them stings a lot more One of them will sting a lot more.